From August 2nd, 2011, I have been entertaining the masses with my numerous YouTube videos, from my WrestleRant, to my dance videos, to my pillow videos, and everything else in between. And today, we celebrate a huge milestone, and with this being my 50th edition, yes, my monumental, historic 50th edition of WrestleRant, and I can tell you right now, it's going to be nothing short of epic, while simultaneously being my 100th video here on YouTube. I joined YouTube 3.5 years ago. It took me this long to post 100 videos, and I have finally done it, so I'm proud to say that I have finally reached my goal of 100 videos here on YouTube. And all I have to say about that is this is only the beginning, WrestleRanters. Now let's kick it off. Before I get to my Monday Night Raw review for May 14th, 2012, let me deliver the huge news that was delivered both by Dixie Carter and WWE's own John Cena earlier today. John Cena tweeted out, "Monday Night Raw will now be 3 hours long permanently every single week starting July 23rd. And if you don't know, that will be their 1000th edition of Monday Night Raw come July 23rd. And that is going to be super epic. I know a lot of people are shitting on the concept already. A lot of members of the IWC. But anyways, I am super excited for it. Mostly because we get an extra hour of wrestling. We can get some more tag team division matches. We can get some more Divas matches. More for the undercard. For a lot of the people that don't get time, like Zack Ryder, Dolph Ziggler, Jack Swagger, all those awesome guys. And maybe even a pre-show like they do with the pay-per-views. Maybe a pre-show like some backstage talk segments. It is going to be so awesome starting July 23rd. And that's not all. Nearly 5 minutes later, I read on lordsofpain.net that was later confirmed by Dixie Carter. TNA Impact Wrestling will now be going weekly live at 8 o'clock Thursday nights starting May 31st. It is going to be so awesome. If you can remember, TNA went live back in 2010. It was a bust because their ratings got demolished by Raw going on simultaneously. So they moved back to Thursdays, being taped and whatnot. I believe they've had one live show since that point. That was in October 2011, I believe. Sorry, October 2010. So now they're going back to live this summer only. So that is going to be so awesome. So needless to say, this summer will be a must-watch wrestling summer. It's going to be maybe even better than Summer of Punk, which I thought was hard to exceed. But anyway, moving on to this past week's Monday Night Raw. On the contrary to what was everything going on today, from the huge epic news from Dixie Carter and John Cena, this past week's Raw was pretty lackluster. We had a couple of the angles for Over the Limit, not a lot of build towards the pay-per-view, regardless of how excited I am for that show, but I'll get to that in a little bit with my predictions. Now, to kick off the show, we had Triple H and Paul Heyman. I thought this was one of the better highlights of Monday Night Raw this past week. Triple H didn't really need to come back this week. I think they could have held that off until next week, seeing how he doesn't really add into the equation for Over the Limit. But Paul Heyman, awesome as usual, very strong mic skills. And I am glad that he's taking some sort of legal action towards Triple H, as long as it doesn't lead into what Dixie Carter and Hulk Hogan did on TNA television back in 2011, because that was very unentertaining. Now moving on, we had CM Punk and tag team with Santino Marella to defeat the team of the Intercontinental Champion Cody Rhodes and the WWE title #1 contender Daniel Bryan. Now I thought this was a pretty good match. Cody Rhodes and CM Punk had the best chemistry, so that is one feud that I want to see here in 2012. Santino Marella kind of took away from this match, but I'll let him slide. At least they had the star power in this match, with 3 out of 4 of these superstars in this match being champions, and the other one being a #1 contender to a championship. I think this match should have gotten more hype, even though it was hype before the show, but I believe that they've really dropped the ball in the CM Punk and Daniel Bryan feud, and the build-up to that feud going up to Sunday's Over the Limit. I know the match is going to be awesome, but they've really dropped the ball with it. I did love that segment backstage with CM Punk and AJ, though. That was pretty epic. Now moving on, we had Big Show get fired, and I say fired in quotation marks because no one ever gets fired on television anymore in WWE, like legitimately fired, by interim Raw General Manager, not interim anymore I should say, it's the permanent Raw General Manager, John Laurinaitis. This was an interesting segment. Big Show, I want to say he oversold the crying. I know he's a very sensitive guy, but keep in mind, this is the same guy that 3 years ago was demolishing everyone in the WWE, a part of Jericho. So seeing him cry was a little illogical, but I guess it's just who he is. But I do commend him for his awesome acting. But I did think that the crying was a little unnecessary, as well as the getting on the knees and begging and whatnot. And I do understand that it was supposed to get heat on John Laurinaitis, so it was successful in that sense. But other than that, this really doesn't do anything for me. By the end of the show, I didn't really remember anything that happened with Big Show, which is not a good sign, which means it wasn't memorable whatsoever. So hopefully they do something with this angle, and it wasn't just to get heat on John Laurinaitis. I mean, I don't like Big Show, and I'd like to see him get off television for a little while, like he did in mid 2011 last year. So hopefully he gets to take some time off. And Big Show, you'll probably be back next week, regardless. I'm pretty sure. I mean, firings this day and age only last about a week anyway, so hopefully they keep him on TV for a little bit longer. But anyways, moving on, we had Chris Jericho versus Randy Orton. Mind you, I'm not going through every single segment of Party Raw this past week. I don't have enough time for that this week, but I'm just going through my highlights of the show and whatnot, the big topics coming out of this week's Raw. So we had Chris Jericho versus Randy Orton. I loved this match. Great chemistry between these two, and I'm very excited and happy and glad that they acknowledged the fact that it was Randy Orton who punted Chris Jericho in the head in late 2010 to render Chris Jericho inactive before he took his absence from the WWE for a year and a half. So I am glad that they did mention that. So great match here. This is probably the match of the night, obviously. And I am liking this feud for the Fatal 4-Way for the World Heavyweight Championship going over the limit. They built that very nicely. I know Del Rio was absent from this week's Raw, apparently because he was up in Japan doing some promotional work, so I understand that. But this is very successful in building towards the World Heavyweight title match. Moving on to the close of the show, we had John Cena and John Laurinaitis. Now, 2 weeks ago, we had the beatdown on John Cena. That was well done from John Laurinaitis. Last week, we had the pre-taped, I should say pre-taped because it was backstage. It was a backstage segment, interview, whatever. But that was well done by John Cena. This week, not so much. After John Cena's divorce was announced last Thursday, I thought it would factor into the equation that John Cena would be unhappy on this week's Raw, that he'd be visibly upset and whatnot. I thought even John Laurinaitis would be mentioning that on television. That would get him a hell of a lot of heat, but he didn't end up doing that. So I am kind of glad they didn't get that tasteless. But this pretty much failed in my eyes, this entire segment, because John Cena was just go happy, crappy the entire time with all of his jokes that we've heard 1,000 times before, reminiscing on old Jim Carrey jokes that weren't funny. So this was a big miss in my opinion, other than the fact that John Laurinaitis blatantly slapped John Cena at the end of the segment between the two. So I'm glad that he did that. That was his saving grace of this promo. But this is not what it should have closed the show, because it left a bad taste in my mouth going into Sunday. It left me less excited for the pay-per-view this upcoming Sunday than it did last week, which actually did get me excited. So now, speaking of Over the Limit, this is only 3 days away. I am pretty much extremely excited for this pay-per-view, I should say. WWE has been doing an excellent job this year with a lot of their pay-per-views, as is TNA. I'll get to that in a few minutes, as Sacrifice last Sunday. But anyways, I am mildly excited for this pay-per-view. It's definitely going to be better than 2010's Over the Limit and 2011's, because those were probably the worst pay-per-views in those respective years. So hopefully this year's a little bit better. Now moving on to my predictions. Announced this past week on Raw, it's the pre-show match to Over the Limit. We're going to have Zack Ryder versus Kane, a reigniting of the feud from early 2012. This match could go either way. I could care less, though, because I really don't care about Kane all that much right now. He's lost a lot of momentum, same thing with Zack Ryder, so I don't think a lot of people are going to be caring about this match. I sincerely do hope that Zack Ryder wins, because he needs a victory, especially over someone like Kane. That would be awesome. But I see Kane going over here after picking up recent wins over the Big Show and whatnot. So I see Kane going over here and continue with the D-push of Zack Ryder. So now moving on to the WWE Tag Title match. Kofi Kingston and R-Truth will defend their tag team titles versus Jack Swagger and Dolph Ziggler. Now, Dolph Ziggler and Jack Swagger have not looked like legitimate contenders in a very long time, so I don't see them winning the championships here, especially since Kingston and R-Truth just won the tag team titles a few weeks back. So it's pretty unnecessary for them to win the tag titles this early in the feud. So I don't see them winning the titles. R-Truth and Kofi Kingston retain. Divas Championship match. Layla will defend against Beth Phoenix. Now, this could be a pretty good match. Layla is one of the better workers in the division, as is Beth Phoenix, obviously, so this could be a good match. At least they've given this match some sort of build-up after what happened last week and this week with Layla and Beth Phoenix on Raw, so at least it has some build-up to it. But I definitely see Layla retaining here, since she just won the championship back at Extreme Rules, so I think it would be way too early to take the belt off now. So Phoenix continues to chase for the championship. I'd love to see a return by Karma, which Apparently, from what I read on Wednesday night, Creative has nothing for Karma. Shockingly enough, yes, that is true. I sincerely hope not, though, because Karma is probably the one of, if not the best women's wrestler in the world today. So I don't know how Creative could have nothing for her, but I guess that's just the motto of WWE Creative these days. So hopefully Karma makes an appearance. I highly doubt it, though, but one can only hope. Now moving on to the World Heavyweight Championship match. Sheamus will defend the World Heavyweight Championship against Randy Orton, Alberto Del Rio, and Chris Jericho. Now, the build-up to this match has been excellent over the last couple of weeks. I could not have loved it more. They've done an excellent job of building towards this. Orton and Sheamus is obviously the main focus of this feud, as we've seen in from what happened last week, and what happened this past Friday night on SmackDown, and this week, and what we will see on SmackDown this week between Orton and Sheamus. But the only problem I have with that is that Orton won't be turning heel anytime soon. More than likely, I should say. And Sheamus just won the World Heavyweight Championship, and they're both face. So I don't see Orton winning the championship here. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he did win the championship on Sunday, but I'm going to go with Sheamus to retain the championship here. Del Rio, Jericho, kind of afterthoughts at the moment, but I am glad that they've got some momentum going into this match, as well as being excellent wrestlers. So they're definitely going to add something to this match, and definitely one of the more intriguing Fatal 4-Ways in recent memory. Now moving on to the WWE Championship match. CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan. I know the match itself is going to be amazing, obviously, but the build-up to this match has been complete crap, given the fact that they haven't correctly built up to this point. CM Punk and Daniel Bryan are capable of much, much more, but obviously they haven't gotten to that point because they haven't given them enough time to build this feud. But nonetheless, I definitely see CM Punk retaining the WWE Championship here. Hopefully we get Daniel Bryan versus Punk at No Way Out next month, and maybe going up to SummerSlam in the Iron Man match. I'd love to see that, but I definitely see CM Punk retaining the championship here and extending the feud for another month or two. Now moving to the main event, John Cena versus John Laurinaitis. This match is obviously going to be the main event of the show. John Laurinaitis is no wrestler, but the main event itself has probably been the most hyped match of its over the last 3 weeks. But I definitely see John Laurinaitis going over here, since it was announced that John Laurinaitis, if he loses, will be removed from his position as general manager of Monday Night Raw. So John Laurinaitis must win here, whether it's interference from Brock Lesnar, Big Show, or maybe even Batista. That would be a very interesting move, but I definitely see someone interfering here to help John Laurinaitis go over, since if anyone does interfere, they will be fired, and since Big Show, nor Brock Lesnar, nor Batista are signed to WWE in the storylines, I see Laurinaitis going over here. So overall, this looks like a pretty good pay-per-view. I'm definitely not going to want to miss this pay-per-view. A lot of good matches. The pay-per-view build-up to this has been okay at best, but the pay-per-view and the matches on it should be awesome. So moving on to what I said about TNA Sacrifice last Sunday, that was one of the best pay-per-views of 2012 for TNA, if not the best in recent memory. A lot of good matches. Definitely suggest go checking that out. And TNA, since they're going live this summer, that should be extremely exciting. So now time for my shameless plugs. You guys can follow me on Twitter at @Save_S_GSM, at SarcasticSmart, and at my new account, WWE Fun Facts. You can also visit my website for all the WWE, TNA rumors, recaps, and more at nexterwrestling.weebly.com. You can check out Spoilers. We go live every Thursday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:30 Central Time. We just hit our 30th edition of Spoilers tonight, so that was an epic edition. Go back and check that out. The archives at blogtalkradio.com/spoilerspodcast. We will be moving to WrestleEnigma.com, so that's a very exciting move, so stay tuned for that. Make sure to watch all my other videos here on my YouTube channel, all 100 of them. Go back and watch all my other dance videos and whatnot, all still on the channel. Hope you enjoy those. Make sure to subscribe. Needless to say, I really do appreciate all the subscriptions you guys give me, so let me know. I will subscribe to you back. And also check out all my articles on Bleacher Report. I know I've been posting as much as of late, but I have been posting on other websites such as Women's of Wrestling, PW Mania, a lot of other good sites besides those. So go check out my stuff by just searching Graham Jason Matthews on Bleacher Report. So thank you guys again for watching. I really do appreciate it. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your Friday tomorrow, and as well enjoy Over the Limit this upcoming Sunday. So this is GSM signing out. Till next time, guys.